Hello, I'm Battalion Chief Tina Watkins. I'm one of the representatives of Richmond Fire. I'm here today to talk about fire safety. So we're going to talk about fire safety for everyone. Your group is actually focused on age 12 to 26, but let's make it for everyone. So we're going to first start here in the kitchen. This is like your normal kitchen, some of the things that you're familiar with that we have in the kitchen. So right now I have a pan sitting on the stove and the water's getting hot. One of the things that we try to instill on people is to let them know, never leave a pan unattended. So if you're going to cook, stay in the area where you're cooking. A lot of children have started fires. We have about 12-year-old and older now cooking in the kitchen, and because of our electronic devices and because of playing video games, they tend to draw their attention away from what they're doing, and then we end up with a fire in the kitchen. So you should never leave a pan unattended. For what I'm looking at here, we want to make sure that when you are utilizing any pot or pan in the kitchen, that you are safely using it. Right now, having the handle sitting away from the stove like that is very unsafe, because all it would take is for me to walk by and hit it with my arm, knock it over, get a severe burn, or have a child reach up and tip it this way. So we always tell you to turn the handle of the pan away from the outside of the stove. So I'm going to cut this water down. One other thing that you need to learn, because a lot of you have become homeowners, your house is your haven. You want your home to be as safe as possible. We normally don't think about it as that. We think that we have a roof over our heads and this is all I have to do. But you have this oven here. You have to make sure that the inside of your oven is clean at all times, because when you have grease building up in your oven, you end up with internal fires. Not only that, our department gets a lot of calls for smoke inside of a structure, because people don't realize that they have grease and stuff that has built up and it is burning off, and it sets off their smoke alarm. So we want you to make sure that you keep these areas clean, because that is very, very important. These are also important tools to have: pot holder and a mitt, because if the pan is too hot, you can move it properly from wherever you move to pour your food or whatever to serve what you're serving without burning your hands. Another thing is, if you're working with grease, the first thing you do if your pan catches on fire is you cut the source of heat off. If you have the lid that is the size of the vessel, you cover it. You know, you come in from the back end, put your mitts on, and you cover it from the back end and close off the oxygen from that pan. If you don't have the proper covering for that pot or that pan, you can use baking soda. Never, 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 ever use flour. If you throw flour on it, it'll blow back on you and you'll get burned. Never, ever, ever, ever pour water on a grease fire. You will get severely burned. So, and never, ever take the pot or the pan is on fire and move it from the stove thinking that you're going to have enough time to get it outside, because you may trip over something, or then you end up catching your whole entire home on fire, and we don't want that to happen. One other thing we try to encourage all our homeowners to have inside their home is a working fire extinguisher. One about this size. You need to also know how to work a fire extinguisher. You have to remember the acronym PASS: pull, aim, squeeze, sweep. So pull the pin, aim the nozzle at the base of the fire, squeeze the handle, and sweep the nozzle from side to side until that fire has gone out. One of the other devices that families have in their homes are microwaves. Most of your children are already using microwave, but we also want you to be able to use this vessel safely. Now, right now, if I'm going to utilize this, there are some do's and don'ts. Do not use aluminum foil to cover anything in the microwave, you end up destroying your home, hurting yourself. This is not the proper product to use when you're covering food. When you're cooking food, and I'm just using this as just a demonstration, you use saran wrap. You use that or cover, and you cover your food, and always leave just a little space so that it can vent. When you put the product into the microwave, and you set the time, and you still need to stay close by. Don't walk away, because you might have it set too long and you can end up with a fire. Now, if you get a fire in your microwave, the first thing you do is you unplug it, pull the power, and just stand there. Do not open, because opening the microwave will cause air to go in. The fire comes out on you and into your home. You keep it closed until that fire dies down, and then you can open it to clean it up. Now, one other thing that people don't realize, once you get a fire inside your microwave, you probably won't be able to use it again. So you have to look at how much damage that you have on the inside. So this too is another tool in your kitchen that you need to be very safe in utilizing. Here again, you're going to need your oven mitts and your pot holders to remove any hot product out of it. You make sure that you use microwave safe dishes in there. Don't put any dishes that have embroidery on it that's metal. Like you have, like say grandma's nice dishes that have the gold in it and the silver, because that'll burn you. You can't put pots and pans in here. Only microwave safe dishes can be utilized in here. And remember, please do not put anything that's aluminum products inside your microwave. We want you to be safe, especially if you're allowing your children to cook inside the microwave. And now we're going to transition down to different fire hazards that you can have in your house that you really don't think about. So this is, I call this bad weather season. Thunderstorms, things of that nature, tornadoes coming in, folks not having electricity. The main go-to for most people, they like to use candles. Okay? One of the main things that happens with our homeowners, they use a candle, they forget that their candle's lit, and they end up having a house fire. And if you're going to light a candle, you need to be in the room with it. So things that I've learned to do, just for my own personal safety, I would take a little bit of water and put in this pan, and I would set my candle in the middle. That way the wax will flow into that water. That's one safe thing you can do. Now, with these type of candles, the glass vessel that wax is in, it is not tempered, meaning that it is not structured to take a lot of heat. So if you're going to burn a candle, you take a vessel that's deep enough to capture the wax inside of it, if that thing should shatter. You also can put some water in there. That's just a suggestion. But we really don't want you to be utilizing candles at all. To transition to that, I've gone out and bought a lantern. Gives you a lot of bright light. You got two streams of light. And some of these things you can start buying now. Put it into your emergency kit at home. Or you can get, this is called a lantern. And what I like about that vessel is you have enough power that'll last for 20 hours. One light will last for 40. And it's also versatile. And I've just over the years have collected things, because I'm one that if I light a candle, I'll fall asleep. I'm also one that if I'm cooking, because I'm so exhausted in the evening when I come home from work, I'll leave a pan on the stove and get caught up in watching CSI or whatever I watch on TV. So, I'm not perfect either in my own environment. So I try to have something here that I can make sure that my house is safe because it's just me in the house. Some other things, people like to use incense when they to make the house smell good. There are other things that may be going on. You might have fried fish and you want to get the smell out the house. But this can be very dangerous if you don't have the right vessel to burn that in. You don't let children play with it. This is just as bad as having a sparkler in your hand on the 4th of July. Having matches and lighters laying around. Matches are very dangerous in the wrong hands. You know, if you don't know how to use them, leave them alone. I always tell all of my children to have an adult utilize this. Now, if you're grown up and you allow your child to use these items, then you are opening the door for that child to pick this up at any time and strike a match to do anything with that match, so you need to be careful. We have a lot of people who use these with their grills, or if you're having problems with your gas oven, you use this to relight your oven. Be aware where you put these products. Make sure they're not in children's hands. Other things we think about. When this gets empty, pull it out and put a new one in. If you don't have a new one to put in, take this out of the plug. This vessel still carries heat, and it will eventually catch on fire. I can't predict when, but the longer you leave it in, the more of a hazard you're going to have. When you're ironing your clothes, you make sure that when you finish, you unplug your iron. You make sure that you don't have children running around that can knock this over on them and burn them. One of the worst burns that you can receive is from an iron. So you have to make sure that you're utilizing that in your house properly, on an ironing board, and when you set it up, and you use it going down unless you have a special holder for your iron. Now, we always talk about surge protectors. And they are surge protectors, and they are, I call them extension cords that have a lot of uses in them. This is more of a glorified extension cord. And it's a glorified extension cord because you can use it like a surge protector, but it's nothing there to say that it's a surge. You get what you pay for. I can go to the dollar store and get one of these for $5. But remember, you're protecting things that you own, your electronic devices and things that you want to make sure you can continue to use. Now, this particular surge protector, when you plug it in, it tells you that it's protected and your plug is grounded. So these are some of the newer ones. Now, I have in use in my house, and because it's in use in my house, I don't have it with me. But I bought this surge protector, and it has a lot of information on the box. And this is something you need to do before you purchase it. You get what you pay for. I paid probably anywhere, I think I paid about $100 for this one, but it had 2 in it. But the other thing that I liked about it, it was saying that it had a lifetime warranty, and it had a connection protection that if it failed, and you know the company proved that it had failed, you had a $250,000 connected equipment warranty, meaning the equipment that it was connected to will be replaced because the way our houses are now. But you have to do some shopping. You have to do some due diligence. Those of you who are moving into your own home, now's the time to start looking at how you're going to protect your environment. We all like to plug in our cell phones. When you leave your house, every morning before I leave my house, wherever I have my chargers at, I remove my chargers from the plug. And the reason being is, you don't know what this end is going to touch if you have a plug like this or the end is going into your phone. You don't know if you're going to have a thunderstorm and you're going to have it surge on you. So you want to also make sure that your whole environment is protected. Now you're looking at me saying, I got to go through this every morning when I get up. Yes, you should. Before you leave your house, you should make sure that your stoves are cut off, your electronic devices are unplugged, because you're taking your cell phone with you. You want to protect your environment. You want to make sure it's as safe as possible. You want to make sure you don't have anything on the floor for trips and falls. So if you have little children, you teach your kids how to pick up behind themselves and move things out of the way. Because if mommy or daddy slips on something and breaks a leg, then they don't have anybody to take care of it. You can kind of utilize it like that. So these are just some of the things that we look at. And then most of all, having a working smoke alarm in your home. Now with the fire code and the building code, a smoke alarm is in every room of the house, in all the bedrooms. And you have to make sure that you have a working battery. Now, our fire department in homeowners' homes, we are installing working smoke alarms to people who own their homes. If you have a landlord, your landlord is responsible for ensuring that the houses you are renting has a working smoke alarm. Now, this smoke alarm is a 10-year alarm, which means you don't have to do anything to it with the exception of testing it when you're using it to make sure that it's working. So this is the most important unit that you can have to ensure that you can get out of your house safely and alive, because these are known to save lives. If you don't have one, you can't depend on your nose to wake you up if your house is on fire. This thing goes off before you see or smell smoke. That's why they call it an alarm. It wakes you up. Okay, we've transitioned to the bedroom. Everyone has one. We're actually in the child's bedroom. What I've done here, I put one of my lanterns in here because, you know, children always, they're either afraid of the dark, but this is also going to serve for a good purpose. Now, there's nothing in this room that we could consider being a fire hazard. But in the event of a fire in your home, you actually should be sleeping with your doors closed, because that's going to give you time to escape when the smoke alarm goes off. You should practice your fire drills in your home. Sounds crazy, but you should practice it. The reason being is the majority of the fires that occur are the ones that occur at night, and most of our residents are not prepared for it. You should also make sure that your area is cluttered free. We've had numerous fires in the city because people were just buying stuff and hoarding things, and that makes for a very unsafe environment and a very fire-loaded environment. So you want to make sure that, you know, you keep your area free from being able to trip and fall over things, and you're able to escape correctly. Now, let's say it's in the middle of the night and your smoke alarm goes off. And it goes off and you're like, what do I do? If you've been practicing with your children, there are two things you can do. You need to let them know where they need to go in case you guys get separated, and that's once you're outside of the house. Now, if your child can physically get out of the bed, your child is going to crawl on the floor. Why crawl? Because if you have smoke in the environment, that smoke bellows down from the ceiling probably about this high on the floor. They're not going to be able to see. So they need to crawl, and they go to the door. If they're sleeping with the door shut, before they open that door, they feel the door with the back of their hand. We tell you to feel it with the back of your hand because the back of your hand is more sensitive than the working side of your hand. So if that door is warm or hot, you don't open it. So the next alternative that child has is to stay on the floor, on their hands and knees, near the window. They don't hide under the bed, they don't hide under the covers, and they keep that door closed. Firefighters know to go to windows to check for people. So now, if you've been practicing in your home, you need two means of escape. out of your house. The first one would be through the door. But let's say that you can't get through the door. Your next means of escape would be a window. So you got to make sure that that area is clear. And if you got a 2-story house, have yourself a fire safety ladder. You can buy them at any hardware store that you can fold out the window and climb out. Never jump out of the window. Never jump. You climb out and you lower yourself down. When I say you lower yourself down, not everybody has an escape ladder. So when you lower yourself down, you're actually climbing out the window and you're hanging off the ledge, and your whole entire body is hanging down. So you see how my hands are up in the air. I have more room to drop myself down. I'd rather have a broken ankle than a broken leg, depending on where my rooms are in my home. So I would suggest that the parent has a fire escape ladder in their bedroom. But you have to make sure that you have an escape in the event that you have to use it, because that's important. And it's important that you practice your drills and you have a meeting place outside of the home. Now when I see it say meeting place, not in front of the house, you might have a tree that's in front of your neighbor's house. So you say, well, we're going to meet down at Miss Sally's house, and you take a head count. Now, one of the other things that I know that's very detrimental to people is pets. A lot of people keep their pets in little cages and stuff at night. And understand that your pet is part of your family. So you might want to think of a secondary place where you have that cage, that crate, I guess it's called crates, for your pet, so that when you practice your drills, you can also practice taking that pet out with you, because once you get out the house, we do not want you going back in for anything. One thing we know, children are always about their stuff, their things in their environment. But we want you out of the house. All that stuff can be replaced, with the exception of, your artifacts, your pictures and things of that nature. But your life cannot be replaced if you lose it in the fire. The smoke is what gets you first in the fire. Remember, your smoke alarm goes off before you see or smell smoke. So when it goes off, you need to get out. And you need to make sure that everybody's out safely. So if you have any questions, you can dialogue the questions to your presenter, and I will get back in touch with her and answer any questions that we need to have answered. I want you to have a very safe day, a safe weekend, and keep in tune of keeping your whole entire environment as safe as possible, because your life matters. Have a nice day.